On October 1st, the U.S. government shut down after failing to pass an appropriations bill. The Republican majority House was able to pass the bill, but the Senate didn't have the 60 votes they needed to pass it. This appropriations bill is horrible. In Section 211, ironically called the Medicare Improvement Fund, they plan to remove $1.14 billion. That's well over half the fund. And as a reminder, Medicare is for people over the age of 65. Aside from that, the mass majority of the funding they extend in this bill only lasts until November 1st. That means that in less than a month, the House and the Senate need to pass another appropriations bill. These are Republicans maliciously trying to drag Democrats across the finish line to punish Americans. Government shutdowns are a relatively new occurrence for the US. They only started happening past 1980. Then Attorney General Benjamin Civiletti basically proved that government agencies aren't legally allowed to continue operating without funding. Since then, the government has shut down 14 times, usually lasting for only 1 to 3 days. The 3 longest were 16 days under Obama in 2013, 21 days under Clinton in 1995, and 34 days under Trump in 2018. These 3 shutdowns actually prove that Democrats have positive outcomes coming out of these shutdowns. The Obama shutdown was over the Affordable Care Act. Republicans wanted to delay its implementation by 1 year, and the Republican House majority was able to adapt legislation for that. The Democrat majority Senate and Obama refused to sign the bill, which led to the shutdown. Most Americans blamed Republicans for the shutdown, and because of that, Republicans were eventually forced into signing the original bill. The Clinton shutdown revolved around Gingrich, and Republicans wanted to make big cuts to government spending. This included Medicaid premium increases. The public again sided with the Democrats, and eventually Republicans had to work with the Democrats to make a more reasonable budget bill. And Trump's shutdown was because he wanted to spend $5.7 billion in the Mexican border wall, which the Senate didn't want to approve. And Trump eventually backed down and signed a bill that had no spending for the Mexico wall. I'm not saying government shutdowns are an optimal way to resolve these problems, but it's been proven to be effective for Democrats. The most significant ramification of government shutdowns are furloughs. Reuters has an article listing how much each department needs to cut. Departments like NASA, the Department of Education, and the Securities and Exchange Commission are being hit the hardest. This is hundreds of thousands of jobs being put on hold, but as the shutdown continues, it's projected to get worse. Trump has already threatened multiple times to start laying people off if Democrats don't sign this bill. The president doesn't necessarily gain more power from a shutdown, but because of his already aggressive actions, it's reasonable to assume he'd attempt to assert more power. Max Stier, chief executive for Partnership for Public Service, wrote that Trump will have wide power in what departments, programs, and staff will be sidelined or furloughed. This isn't an optimal situation, but this is one of the only ways Democrats can effectively fight back against the fascists in office. While people in the government may be struggling now, this is a much better option than allowing Trump to completely gut the ACA. This will leave hundreds of thousands of Americans with no medical insurance and no way to actually pay for any medical treatment. And I have a full video on Trump's big beautiful bill that was signed last summer if you want to have a better idea of his spending agenda. It's objectively horrible for everyone, including you.